The very first time coming here. Probably 6 out of the 60 will show up. The others just won't come. They're drained of the much required energy to even face this. Many are going through huge levels of emotional pain. You'll find that many of them have gone down the train of thought of suicide.
As the morning unfolds, litigants are summoned one by one to face the court registrar and the bank's barristers. Afterwards, some were willing to tell their story.
Over a 2-year period, I have tried constantly to speak to the bank, to talk to the bank, to sit down with the bank, to try and resolve these issues in the best way possible. I'm not trying to get away with anything. I'm not, I want to do the best that I possibly can, but I don't want to lose my little home.
There's 125,000 homes in trouble now, and that's central bank figures. 125,000 homes. So if you allow 4 people per home, and even if you were to say that 10 people directly are affected by that home because everybody is a mother and a sister and whatever, that's 1.25 million people that will be displaced or upset by eviction.
We took out a small mortgage with First Active to do necessary work on the house, which is very old, and half of that was paid back, and I was getting into trouble and tried on 3 separate occasions to talk to First Active. They didn't want to know, and the next thing I had dealing with Ulster Bank, and on the phone I find it very hard to understand what they're saying, and they speak so quickly and it is all very technical for me anyway. And I've tried writing, I've sent registered letters and never got a reply back. And as they say, you try making a phone call, you'll get somebody different each time.
For many,
I didn't sleep well last night at all. I woke up at 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I'm just a ball of frustration today. I'm just about to go for a run. I'll be better after that. 2009 until now and ongoing, I'm in court the whole time, pursuing a divorce constantly from 2009 until November 2014, and then in court for repossession hearings. The more people I talk to, the more I see that they are just being crushed by banks, and it's just not right. Morally, it's not right. Anyway, I'm going for a run because I'm just going to explode in a second.
a solicitor, she has come to a volunteer centre in Dublin city centre called The Hub to research how to fight the case herself. Run by like-minded volunteers, lay litigants come to the Hub Ireland to share information and experiences with each other. Its coordinator is Byron Jenkins, whose own business was foreclosed by his bank.
Yeah, it's funny, when you come in first you're so terrified by everything and you're like really overwhelmed and in a crisis situation really. I'm always meeting people down here who are either, 2 or 3 steps ahead of me in the process and fighting more complex legal issues, and then they explain something to me so that I get some clarification around that issue. Or I'm meeting people who are just beginning the process and they're terrified. And I know what that's like, so I reach out to them. Byron, do you want to see? People are in crisis. You see husband and wives coming from Donegal, Longford, Galway, Sligo, everywhere really. And usually the wife will talk, as women tend to be a little bit more verbal. So they'll express what's going on and how they're feeling. And usually the man is sitting there silently. And I always feel very concerned about the men in that situation because you actually wonder, how are they coping?
Byron is not a solicitor or trained in personal insolvency, but throughout the morning, at least 30 people visit the Hub, each one seeking his counsel.
She had full representation.
Listen,
all the others.
That killed us.
Yeah.
That killed us.
This morning, Mary has travelled to the Hub from Kells in County Meath. She is fighting to save her family home.
My mum and dad worked hard and left that home to me,
and I took out a mortgage of 262,000 with Stepstone, for the simple reason being we had other kind of debts as well, and they said, oh, we'll just roll everything into one, and I thought it was 800 a month to pay back, and actually it was from anything from 1,200 one month, 13 the next, 15 the next, but now it's working out, I think, at 305,000 that I'm owing them, even though people I was paying what I could afford to pay, but it was still amounting up, the arrears was still amounting up. You know, I can pay 700 a month, you know.
Mary has come directly from the new appeals court. She had expected the judge to grant a repossession order, but that has not happened.
I have been up to court, which they wouldn't give us any more appeal time, but they gave us 3 months to seek and my son come on board to take a mortgage to buy my family home.
At least the judges turned round and said, you know, we're going to give you 3 months to try to come to some sort of deal, refinance, maybe get the family involved, you know. And myself and Jim will lead you through that process, and we will help you at every step of the way until we come to a conclusion, you know, that will be hopefully beneficial to you and beneficial to the banks.
Yes,
you know?
that's all I want.
Yeah.
With the court order to repossess Ciara's home having been issued 1 week ago, she has 10 days to appeal. With the clock ticking, she must spend the full day at the hub to figure out how to fight her eviction.
And that is the only way to put it. I was diagnosed with cancer, and I said to the doctor, I said, I actually don't have time for this, and I didn't. I didn't have plastic chemotherapy, just radium. All the way through treatment, people were saying, oh, you're great, you're, you know, whatever. And a friend of mine said, that probably is not a good thing, that, you know, you never really addressed the cancer issue. And I said, but I can't. It's way down my list of priorities. My cancer was less of a priority than my mortgage.
And are living in limbo.
I rang the receivers yesterday. You know, it's 5 weeks before Christmas. I wanted to know, is there something there that's maybe giving me a heads up that they're going to send me an eviction notice this week or next week, or what's going on? So I rang and I spoke to the person with whom I've been dealing with it all the time, with Grant Torrent and the receivers, and I basically was told there's no update. There is no instructions, anything to do with the premises, and I basically was told, well, their only option is they need vacant possession of the house. And my answer, as it has always been since the 14th of August, was they will not get vacant possession. That is my home.
With so much at stake, Julie has done her own legal research to find out exactly what her rights are.
They've got to either issue me another termination to quit my tenancy, or they must issue me a new contract, which neither seem to be coming to me, so I don't know right now where this is going to go.
For Ciara, it's the end of a long day spent researching how to fight her eviction. She is still confused as to how her case was heard a day earlier than she had in her diary.
You believed it was on the 4th,
Yeah.
and it was heard on the 3rd. Okay, so we need to go back to the original court to get the recordings of that court and what was said in the court.
With several days now lapsed since the judge ordered a repossession order, Ciara is at a loss as to what will happen next.
Yeah, I suppose I'm frightened. You know, I am frightened that something will happen and that bailiffs will arrive at my door at some point. From what I understand about it, my understanding is limited. There's some kind of sign-off period on the repossession order, so it takes 3 or 4 days in the courts for that to happen. And then I have 10 days in total from the sign-off to appeal the judge's decision.
Today, over 60 people have either visited or contacted the Hub Ireland seeking help.
Mental health is huge in this. It's probably the worst of what's going on. You know, And it filters down to every member of the family, right down to the kids. Kids aren't stupid. They know exactly what's going on. They see the pressure that the parents are under. And relationships as well. Every second person coming through the door is separated, divorced, or rowing, over something that really wasn't their doing.
1 week after Ciara must decide whether she will tell her son Tig.
I spoke to my son on the phone. He's away at the moment, but he's only a young man. I'm not going to burden him with this too much, so I didn't tell him that there was a repossession order issued.
For the 100,000 homes since the court granted a repossession order against Ciara's Dublin home, she has decided to appeal to the High Court and has been busy trying to get organised.
This is my never-ending list of things to do. I'm really struggling with having to go back again to the Circuit Court office and the High Court office and get bits of paperwork and go down to the hub and do my work and look after the house and just manage everything and try and tell myself that I'm doing a good job. I'm really trying.
As a result, she is dreading Christmas and what might happen to her and her children.
Every Christmas, I put the presents out and I pray, please God, let me be here again next year. And that's how I've lived every Christmas for the last few years. I don't have a plan for Christmas Day. I have a hope that I will be at home. I don't have a plan because I might not be. I don't know where I'm going to be. I haven't started shopping yet for Christmas. I don't know what happens. I don't know exactly when your house is repossessed. Do they just come and take you out straight away? Because I can't leave until they do come and take me out. Because I've got nowhere else to go. And I really don't. So, when can they come Christmas Day? Can they? I don't know.
In Dublin, Ciara needs a copy of the repossession order against her home to file an appeal. After much toing and froing with the Circuit Court offices, she has finally secured a copy.
This is the notice of repossession. Yeah.
But when she read it, she was to receive a shock.
It says that the execution for possession herein be stayed for a period of 3 months from this date. But by all accounts, from what I've heard, that's a really severe stay. That it has been up until now, an 8-month stay to allow people to kind of put in their appeal. The thing about it is, you only get 10 days from the date that this is made to appeal it in the High Court. 10 days. So this order was granted on the 3rd of November, and then you have 10 days. I didn't. I just had to go to the Circuit Court office and talk to the clerks, who didn't even know for a few minutes that this was granted, and they had to go off and find it, and then I had to get them to stamp it. So that's like 13 days later, I have to go into the Circuit Court office and hunt this document down. I think it's totally inhumane.
Despite the long odds, Ciara is determined to keep fighting.
I don't know, how could I possibly just accept what they're saying and just roll over? I'm not going to do that. This is my home. This is where I've raised my son. He's gone to secondary school around the corner. This is his community. This is my community. I'm part of this community. a pregnant client living across the road here. I mean, why on earth would I go along with it when I know that I've made such a supreme effort to engage with the banks?
Forward. They have still not heard from the receiver if they must leave the property.
Because we received no response from the banks in any way at all, my family have decided we're going ahead with Christmas here in our home. We have continued to put up the decorations, the kids' stockings are hanging, lights are on, and we're ready for Christmas. They sent their Santa letters and they eagerly await the letter through the letterbox, unlike me who awaits a different letter in the letterbox. But hopefully I don't get that letter this side of Christmas.
Despite Julie's experience over the last 5 months, she hasn't given up on the possibility her family might yet stay in the house.
Well, I don't know what the banks are going to do in the new year, but I myself have made an early New Year's resolution because I can't live in this way. The not knowing when is the day going to come, when is the sheriff going to come to my door, when is the letter going to come in my door. So I either want a new termination to quit my tenancy and proceed in whatever way it has to go, or else I want a new contract from my family.
This is not a normal run-of-the-mill thing. This is something that happened due to a banking crisis. And it's very easy to say this is the bank's asset and they need their money. Well, that is somebody's home. And that is probably what's holding some families together. People are in crisis here, and families are losing parents to suicide and losing siblings because it is getting so difficult here.
For Kira.
I'm quite a robust person. I found myself in a situation where my mind was actually starting to formulate plans about taking my own life. You know, I don't even drink, but I was thinking, okay, just go and get a bottle of vodka and take some pills and go up to Hothead and throw yourself off Hothead and just be done with this pain. And at the same time, my rational mind was going, you have a son. You have responsibilities, you have a son, you have to keep going. You know, it's a retreat to come up here and see the sea, and it makes me feel calm. But when I look back over in the direction of my house, I think, where did it all go wrong? This is happening in so many homes across the country. People are not sleeping at night time. People are highly distressed. Marriages are breaking down. And people are in financial dire straits with no recourse, no real recourse. We don't know what's going on in people's homes. People tend not to talk about this situation because they feel shame about it. I feel shame about it. I had to tell my son last night, he's away in college, that an eviction order has landed in the post, and I feel ashamed. I feel like I let him down. And the expression on his face really hurt me last night. To see my son trying to hide that from me, to protect me, just makes my heart break. I explained that the courts had decided in my absence that an eviction order was warranted and that we would be leaving our home in January, possibly. And I told him not to worry, that I'd take care of the situation. But that's not easy. It doesn't make it any easier to look at my son like that. I taught him not to worry about these things, so I'm not to worry about it. But I'm still his mother, so I'm still going to worry. I mean, I don't understand how the banks
We're bailed out in this country by the taxpayers, and at the same time, the taxpayers, like me, are suffering in this situation and being treated, I think, really, really badly by the banks.